Hello, everyone, and again, welcome for joining us today for today's session with Dawn. Before we begin the session today, I would like to begin with a land acknowledgement. As we gather today, let us take time to reflect on our privilege to live and work in Guelph, a city built over rich Indigenous histories. We are guests here, and we should reflect upon the responsibilities to care for this land, the people who live here today, and the generations to come. If our actions today can move us towards reconciliation, we should take pause and make those decisions with intention and gratitude. This place we call Guelph has served as traditional lands and a place of refuge for many people over time, but more specifically, the Attawandarunk and the Haudenosaunee. This land is held as treaty lands and territory with the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation. Guelph lies directly adjacent to the Halmate Track and is part of a long-established traditional hunting ground for the Six Nations of the Grand River. Many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people have come across Turtle Island, call Guelph home today. Next, we'll go over to you, Don, and share a little bit of information. So, Don Thompson is an expert in e-commerce strategy, product management, and business development for startups and scale-up companies and brands across Canada. As the founder and CEO of Beacon Commerce, Don helps entrepreneurs navigate the opportunities and realities of the global Amazon marketplace, bringing a unique mix of expertise and spans products, configuration, pricing, positioning, and promotion. Don's career includes 25 plus years of experience developing and managing new products for top performing Fortune 100 company organizations, including Amazon, BlackBerry, and GE. He's also a mentor and business advisor at the Canadian accelerators, including Boundless Accelerator, previously Innovation Guelph, and the Accelerator Center in Waterloo, Ontario. And I'll throw a few of Don's links in the chat there if you're interested in connecting with Beacon Commerce on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. So over to you, Don.
We missed that one call for Innovation Guelph, eh? So we'll
We
have to
did.
we'll have to fix that one. Sorry about that. I'll put money in the swear jar. So yeah, we're going to talk about really omni-channel, and one of the things that I do a lot of is Amazon as an omni-channel experience. And for all of those who shop on Amazon, which I think is every single human on the planet at this point, it does represent an interesting opportunity for any of the brands that you're helping or brands you may have yourself, because Amazon is such a wonderful, trustworthy platform for customers. And it doesn't have to get in the way of your brick and mortar retail, your own Shopify stuff, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in here. Okay. So we really want to think about omni-channel and your business and why Amazon should be part of your omni-channel business plan. How does e-commerce fit into my channel strategy? Can these all kind of coexist between your e-commerce and your retail placement? And then what is actually required to manage and maintain Amazon as part of my overall channel strategy? Because like it's not for the faint of heart. This is, they're really bad at their job, which is why I have one, frankly. And so we want to make sure that you know what you're getting into when you're talking to your clients or thinking about it for your business as part of your overall go-to-market. Okay. And if there are any questions along the way, we got a reasonable sized group here. Pop them in the chat, jot it down, and we'll get to it at the end. There is time at the end for questions, but if it's urgent and it's like I can't go past this unless I have an answer, raise your hand, and Alex will stop me so that we take a look at it. Okay. All right. So why should Amazon be part of your business? And I wanted to throw some stats together just to kind of cover off what Amazon represents in the overall global marketplace. And this is US and Canada. We're seeing a lot of stretch into Canada from where we may have been even in 2019. 2020 changed the game, of course, and we're seeing a lot more people using Amazon for their shopping preference. Now, 81% of consumers are conducting online research before they make a purchase decision. And the way I explain this to people I'm speaking with is Amazon is essentially the Google for products, right? So we know your Shopify store is a great source of brand data, configuration, telling your whole story, et cetera. But one of the things it doesn't have are reviews that are truly always going to be controlled. And Amazon has that in spades. They have a lot of lockdowns. It's not the same Amazon from 15 years ago when I started kind of doing stuff in this area where you'd have review farms happening, et cetera. All that is being cleaned up. There's always trickles of this that comes through, of course, but at the end of the day, people trust Amazon. And if they're conducting research, they're going to Amazon to see what people think. And it doesn't matter if it is, pens and pencils that you're selling, or if it's, different types of food products, which we serve a lot of those clients, people are searching it. Now, I'm sure I'm similar to most of these 28% of people. I shop with my phone in my hand. One, because I usually have to ask my wife for permission to buy something. And two, if I see something that I haven't seen before, I want to see if it's any good. And so I scan the QR code, the UPC on it, and I'm checking. And it's always going to go to Amazon or it's going to go to Google. But my reviews and pricing are always through Amazon. And so we want to make sure that we have all these touch points and we're managing an experience that is cohesive across all these touch points for customers. Now, the influencer side of things, we see this increasing more and more, and I'm sure this number is going to be, frankly, double in 5 years in terms of the impact of influencers on people's buying decisions. And this is with the advent of TikTok. Certainly, Meta has a lot of this through their Instagram platform. What we know is people are making money by having influencers shill their products and go back to buying platforms like Amazon, like their Shopify, to really close that loop. And so we want to make sure that we can support our influencer army with our products so they can make money, not just from the initial contract we may have for them to do some posts for a couple $100 or what have you, but also on the back end of the sale for the product. So those things like, hey, when they sell the product, they're going to get 5% kickback as part of that sale. We want to make sure that we're engaging with our influencer army to tell the story that's needed to support what we want to be in the channel. Lastly, it's so interesting. A website conversion of 1.62% is average. Anywhere from 1 to 3%. You're like, okay, 3%, your conversion's actually not too bad. That's really good. 10% is what we use as the low bar on Amazon. And it's because people are wired to buy when they're on Amazon versus wired for research ahead of time. So we want them to be there. We know they can convert, and we really optimize that experience to ensure that we're going to provide them with the most cohesive experience overall. Okay. And of course, I should say, lastly, no shipping costs with Amazon. We all know it's a massive concern for customers and why they abandon us. Now, fast free shipping is the number one reason why people shop on Amazon. The broad selection. I already have a Prime membership. And I remember when I worked at Amazon, one of the things that was always said is it should be completely illogical for someone not to have a Prime membership because there's so much value in that. And so when we talk to customers, our customers who want to sell on Amazon, they say, well, should I be fulfilled by Amazon or fulfilled by merchant? And I always, always, always recommend fulfilled by Amazon if we can make the numbers work. And the reason for that is Amazon they're a logistics company front and center that happens to have products, but they want to make sure that your product can go anywhere across the country in 2 days. And given some of the postal issues, I'm not sure there's anyone else who's nearly as accurate at being able to do that. And you can tap into that very quickly by being fulfilled by Amazon, where I can have product that makes it, from my location in Ontario all the way to BC or out to Newfoundland, and it's there in 2 days. And that's just absolutely unmatched. And the cost of that is very, very attractive. I can't ship something from Guelph to Toronto for less than $20. I can actually have Amazon ship a parcel all the way across the country for $7. And so there's a great opportunity for us to tap into this for the fast free shipping and always already kind of popping into that $100 subscription that they have for Prime. They're going to come back and buy it again. Okay. Now, it's so important for Amazon to have brands on their platform. And it doesn't have to be Coca-Cola or Poppy now with, purchased by Pepsi. It can be any size brand. And I've put some examples of some of these, kind of what you get as part of that experience using one of, Boundless's clients, Beck's Broth. with the storefront as well as kind of what happens on the page. I've also included a link here to what's called the IP Accelerator. A lot of clients that I talk to don't have a trademark for their brand. And it's shocking to me if you're going to invest all this time, energy, and effort in building something that you don't have a trademark for your brand. The IP Accelerator is something you can use to do that, and it gets you a trademark. It's not just an Amazon trademark, it's a trademark that can be used anywhere and everywhere. And Amazon will accept a pending trademark to get access to all these wonderful tools. So they know it takes 18 to 24 months to actually get the trademark awarded to you. And so you can tap into all the extra features and benefits of being part of the brand registry process just by having that pending trademark. Okay. So when we have that, what ends up happening is we get access to all the digital branded content, which I'll show you, the storefront, which is a store within a store, which is something that's really unique and a great opportunity. But even better, you get additional advertising placements on the platform. So when you go to Amazon and do a search, that first top of search, it's sponsored, it's always sponsored. It's a sponsored brand placement, and only brands that are registered with Amazon qualify for that spot. The reason it's so important is there's something that most humans don't know how to do on Amazon. It's called scrolling. And so you want to be in that top slot. It's the most premium spot, of course, but it also has the best conversion metrics and also the ability to show more elements of your brand, which I'll show you an example of shortly. Okay. Now, you need that registered trademark and definitely use this IP Accelerator. It's a great program. Okay. So what I want to quickly show is this here. I'll pop this across. All right. So talked about the process for brand registering, what you get. This is called a storefront inside of Amazon. The one thing that I love about the storefront is I tend to drive all my external traffic to a storefront on the page. And the reason for that is I can tell my story and I can provide additional elements of interest for customers. I can go through what we're doing, shopping, little tie-outs, and then about the founders, because it's a great founder story with Beck and Dom. Okay. Now, what we don't have on here are any ads. So this is the one protected spot on Amazon where you can tell your story without a whole bunch of ads hitting you. Because if I go to this one here, okay, let me pop this. Here's an ad. I'm doing an ad against myself to block people out, right? It's like doing an ad on Google for your own brand name to block someone else from trying to steal it. Another ad I have to put on my own page to block people out. All down here, these are all ads. More ads. I get this enhanced brand content on the page when I have my registered brand. You can do videos now on here. Add, more ads. Okay. So this is why it's so important to have that brand registry and have your trademark filed so that you can actually qualify for the enhanced content, create that storefront, but then also take out this blocking spot at the very top of the page. Okay. And you can put little videos in here, etc. Right. Add, first organic slot. Okay. So don't think for a second that you're not getting pushed into ad placements when it comes to Amazon. It's definitely a pay-to-play platform. We'll walk through some of those details later. Okay. Now, why is e-commerce a strategy for your business? Well, we have to look at all the areas in which we are getting traffic to our brand. And there's some that are paid that we have to just deal with. The paid placements is something that you have to have a budget for. Where you're going to spend that money, whether it's your brand itself to protect yourself, or whether it's longer tail keywords, like in this case, hot chocolate bone broth. Okay. We have to have some metrics around here. We have to make sure we're driving an appropriate return on ad spend for our company. This all feeds into some of the organic placements that are available to us. Because organic, we're going to want to be showing up for the various search terms that are relevant for our brand, but realize Google and the like are all showing at top there. ChatGPT is now becoming a major competitor for Google, and now there's some connectivity between Shopify and ChatGPT that we have to leverage, of course. Absolutely, AI is changing our search game, and it's something we're going to have to adapt to overall. Amazon is doing that as well. Now, from an organic placement, we'd lead into referral. This is the referral of using our influencers. And this whole concept of driving commission, free samples, a paid promo, some form of backlinks to other sites, we need to make sure that we're tapping into this as part of our overall e-commerce strategy. And it's important because all of this drives into how we drive that marketing funnel for our brand. These are all touch points. Whether we want to deal with it or not, it's here. And so some of it's going to be paid and putting ads through the Metas and TikToks and Google areas that allow us to then index better for organic rankings, or partnering with our key demographic through the influencer channels to make sure that we're getting as many touch points and eyeballs in our brand as possible. So when they go to a store and they see your product on the shelf, they recognize it. You just say you need 7, points of interaction to actually remember you did it once. It's now 10. I'm sure it'll be 15 soon, based on our kind of goldfish memory that we have all these days. Now, when we're driving traffic to our website, one of the things you've got to be really careful of is you check your website all the time. And the number one problem that I see with people's websites, other than broken links, is it's slow. And it's slow, you don't see it because you're on your website all the time. You've been cached in your system. And so it's really important that we use third-party tools that take this kind of out of the equation to be validating your website speed. Because the last thing I want is somebody's in a store, sees your product on shelf, searches for your brand, goes to your website, and gets frustrated because it takes too long to find your website, too long for it to load. Obviously, optimization for the mobile experience, what have you, is important, but it's one of those things that people miss. So there's a little tool, GT Metrics. You could run it for free. Okay, I have a paid thing because I monitor some of these ongoing, but it's a great little tool, and it just checks to see how fast your website is. It tells you all the problems that are there, and honestly, you then need typically a professional to help you with that. But one of the biggest problems I see that is easy to fix on your own is you have a 20 megapixel image splashed on your screen, and honestly, you can cut that down to 1 meg, and nobody would know the difference except the load time. So there are things you can do that are really simple. It'll highlight all those for you and make sure your mobile experience is going to be working better. This is important, again, because customers get frustrated. They don't have time. I got a screaming kid in a cart. I'm looking at your product on the shelf, and goodness me, do I want to buy it? Do I want to take it? I'm gone because I just don't have time to monkey around with your slow website. Okay, so definitely check these out. The shopping sites, when we're looking at overall traffic into our system, we have all these different sites of Amazon, eBay, Walmart, Etsy. I can use paid, organic, referral traffic. All of those go to these areas. And what's important is I like these third-party sites because people trust them already. They know, for example, if I buy something on Amazon, if I don't like it, I can get my money back. In the grocery space and supplement space, you can no longer return the product, but I can guarantee you, if you contact Amazon as the customer and say, I bought this, I really didn't like it, I'd like my money back, Amazon will give you your money back. They take it from the seller, right, which sucks for the seller, but they absolutely will give you your money back. And it's the same kind of situation with these other websites like the eBays and Walmarts of the world. Okay. Now, people trust them. They don't trust your website yet, right? Even though we have Stripe to do the purchasing, we don't have to actually give you our credit card number, et cetera. At the end of the day, they know they trust these websites, and Amazon will deliver it in 2 days versus however long it may take for your postal service to get it to you. Okay. Now, some of the cons, of course, we have to deal with is the referral fees are typically 15%. There are some category restrictions. So depending on the type of product you're selling, you will have to have certifications for those things. So, I speak with a lot of smaller brands from time to time who are interested in doing Amazon. If you're making it in a commercial kitchen, Amazon may not be the channel for you yet until you're getting more into a co-packer who can run that for you, because you need the various certifications and whatnot for Amazon in order to list those products. But it is definitely a channel to consider. Lastly, the creative control side, these platforms like Amazon's, eBay's, and Walmart's, even Etsy, they really box you in to what you can design. They box you into how you can tell your story. It's not a bad thing, it's just a thing, but you don't have the same kind of almost unlimited flexibility you'd get with a WooCommerce or even a Shopify design. So it's something to manage. Okay. Now, remember, millions of people a day are going to these channels. They're not going to your website. And so these channels become part of your overall experience. Purchasing through Amazon, learning and purchasing through your website, certainly buying when they're in store, and depending on your display strategy or what you can execute there, maybe learning more about your product as well. Okay. It's important to realize that Amazon will be the largest operator in the US in 2024, okay? But also going beyond. They're going to be bigger than Walmart by the end of 26. And like Costco, Kroger's, all the Home Depots, none of these guys are within sniffing distance of where Amazon is. And I remember when COVID happened in 2020, um, I was chatting with Walmart about stuff there, and it was interesting because they thought they were a couple years behind Amazon and realized they were 10 to 20 years behind Amazon once the scale had to come. So there's definitely an opportunity to look at these sites, and if you're in Canada, I highly recommend Amazon over Walmart, just because Walmart doesn't have the fulfillment services in Canada yet. It's still a great platform, but you end up having to ship it yourself. Okay. Now, there are also B2B sites that we could consider as part of our omni-channel experience. And we talk about Faire, RangeMe are two very popular ones that a lot of people know about. These are great B to small B platforms. If we're looking at, don't say mom and pop, souvenir shops, but certainly independent retailers that are out there, that Faire is a great, or RangeMe are great platforms for that. They also charge referral fees, of course, but if you bring the customer to the site to kind of do you're reaching out to them, they say, yeah, we're interested in buying, you send them to your Faire, the first purchase is going to be referral fee free as part of that. And the good thing about that is there's also a holding of cash. So it's like they pay Faire, you send product. When both of you say, yes, I received my goods, you then get cash. But you're not going to get stiffed by somebody you haven't worked with before. So Faire is a great platform that I recommend a lot of brands to get onto. So you have access to those folks, again, as part of your omni-channel experience. Because at the end of the day, what do you want? You want eyeballs to lead to purchases. And so we need to be in as many spots as possible. Okay. Now, when we walk through the customer journey on e-commerce, it's important that we really understand what we're doing. So I like to say Amazon is the perfect microcosm for whatever someone searches to what is the number one bought product. And sometimes I'm like, what the heck is somebody, searching for cat toys and buying dog stuff? If it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid. And so it's something that we have to consider is using the customer journey on these platforms as part of our overall competitive positioning out in the ecosystem. And so by using this, we use an incognito browser and we type in customer search terms to find your product. And it's important to use incognito browser there because I have a ton of products that I search for that I'm not interested in. They're my client products. And so, like, we're doing a lot of perimenopause products these days. Okay. That's not my issue. Okay. There are lots of issues. That's not one of them. But I get a lot of searches for that type of product. If you go into incognito, you can at least kind of go into a green field and do your searches and see what is getting put out there by Amazon rather than being indexed because of your search history. You've got to watch because the top search areas are ads. Okay. Once you get to that first organic slot, that's the one that is actually there for real. And sometimes I see, like I was looking for prebiotic soda, right? Prebiotic soda, all of a sudden I see regular, Coca-Cola in the top. I'm like, well, they're just advertising on the word soda. So that's really not what I'm interested in. I'm really looking for the ones that say not sponsored. Okay. There's no sponsored tag to them. Okay. We want to look, and as when we're looking at size of opportunity on Amazon for a particular client, I'm like, well, you want to sell what? I've got a room spray here. Okay. So I've got a lavender room spray. That's what I sell. Great. Let's type in lavender room spray in Amazon and see what pops up. Because if I'm selling a configuration that's this big, but all the configurations on Amazon are huge, refillable, etc., then I may have a packaging issue that I have to deal with to make it work for the platform. If I'm not seeing products that I would expect to see, if I look for gluten-free granola, okay, and I'm not seeing other gluten-free granolas, well, what does that tell me? It could be that there aren't any. I know there are. It could be that not a lot of people are searching for it, so people aren't putting their products there. Or it could be that those guys are out of stock. And so there's other search mechanisms we need to look at. There's other tools that we have access to really take a look at what's happening there. But when you're doing the search side, we want to look at these things like autocomplete. Okay, Google has it, Amazon has it, Etsy has it. And so if I start typing in gluten-free granola,
Don, I think your voice cut out. Don, Don, we can't hear you right now. Just give it a second here, everyone, while he's reconnecting. I know headphones give out sometimes. Well,
there we go. You hear me now?
yes, thank you.
Perfect. When did I lose you?
You were talking about the
Autocomplete?
granola. Yeah, you were just
Autocomplete.
finishing about it.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I didn't lose you for long. Don't know what happened there. So when we look at the autocomplete side of things, what ends up happening is Amazon or Google or Etsy or any of these will kind of give you other longer tail keywords that are happening there. What this allows us to do, so if I'm looking at gluten-free granola, it may finish off by saying for kids or for celiac or for women. And so that becomes a longer tail we can go after as part of our overall strategy for this omni-channel experience. Because if I see a lot more people are searching for gluten-free granola for kids, well, maybe that should affect my positioning in some way. Maybe that affects my messaging in some way. Or even just the personas that I'm showing of, a family with two children eating gluten-free granola, right? And so those are things that we want to make sure we're managing to and using these platforms as part of that overall journey. When we understand the customer journey, what it allows us to do is better position our product and choose some of the channels we may want to go after. So Google Analytics is a great platform that you need to be comfortable with. There are plenty of different software packs that you could put over top to make it a little bit more user friendly. But also Hotjar. I did this with a client recently. Hotjar is a wonderful tool. It's a visualization tool for seeing how people are on your website, what they're doing on the website. And it unlocks a lot of interesting information. We had one where we were sending traffic from Facebook into their website and then capturing kind of what people were doing. And you're seeing how they're zooming in on certain parts to see, hey, how does that work? What does this do? Going, popping to a different page, coming back, disappearing for a moment, which means they opened up another tab and we're looking around, but then coming back. And so Hotjar is a wonderful tool, highly recommended, especially for any of the tests that you're looking to run and see how people are interacting with your website. Okay. Now, e-commerce and retail for your business, how do these marry together? And what I want to go through here is just understanding the business revenue streams because I like to follow the money. If we follow the money, we can understand kind of how things are all going to work. And so for a lot of companies, they have to start with a broker. They have to have a broker in order to sell into retail. That person has the relationships, they have, they know who's who in the zoo, et cetera. We're going to then get into some sort of physical retail location. Maybe Loblaw's too big, but we talk goodness me as an example. We're going to go through that broker direct into that physical retail location. Okay. And these are small fills. They're running a local program. I know Sobeys has a great one on the East Coast. Other retailers are coming up with these as well. We then get paid. Online retailers like Well.ca. Well.ca says, hey, I want your product. I'm going to go direct to you. They typically work direct and they give you money. Great day. We're going to get into a distributor. Okay. And I've just said Purity here as an example. They're a distributor in Canada, certainly growing in the natural product space. Well, distributor pays me. All of a sudden, Loblaw says, I don't want to buy from you because you're starting to grow. I want to get it from Purity. So they buy from Purity. Purity gives you money. Online retailers, well, they can also go to Purity. That gets rid of that revenue stream. I have a random reseller, and this is the one that is the most dangerous thing out there because these people will buy from Purity. They'll buy a box of 12. They don't give a crap about your brand. All they care about is making money on that sale. They're not strategic. They're not part of your overall story. They may give you some reach, but reach can come at a cost called your pricing. So when we have that random reseller, we got to be really careful. I have my own website. I have B2C shopping sites and I have B2B shopping sites. All these have different revenue streams, and the size of that revenue stream is indicative because Shopify, I make all the money. B2C, I make some of the money. Fair, I'm selling it wholesale, so I make a little less money. Okay. It's all underpinned by MAP. If we do not have a strong MAP policy, if we don't enforce MAP, if we don't force our distribution partners to make sure we're managing MAP, it's all going to fall apart. And I've seen this. I see this all the time. When I take over some Amazon accounts with clients, they have 29 resellers on their product, all of them fighting to get the price down. Well, as much as physical retailers hate Amazon, okay, a lot of them look at Amazon for two things. What are your reviews? And are you in control of your price? And it's not about price fixing or any of that type of stuff. It's about having a MAP policy that allows you to have a fair price across the entire market so that everyone who needs to make money can make money and customers can buy for a fair price. And so we have to have a MAP policy when we get into retail. We have to manage that MAP policy as part of our own website. And we may have SRP, the suggested retail price, which is the highest, MAP, which is kind of the minimum advertised price we're allowing. But that is important for us because if we don't have this under control, this whole thing falls apart. And I've seen it time and time again. So consider MAP policy the one thing that you have to think about, especially as you start to grow up into distribution partners, into other platforms. And then lastly, with your distributor, make sure you tell them you want to approve everyone who wants to buy your product. And I know it sounds like a lot, but it's only a lot when it's actually a lot. And what I mean by that is you have exactly this many people asking your distributor for buying your product today. If that goes to one, if it goes to 10, if it goes to 100, now we're into, okay, now we need a better SOP for that. But in those early days, making sure that you are managing these resellers to not just buy a box of 12, bring your price down to $29.79, $29.59. I've seen it where I could exactly target where their lowest break-even point is, and that's what they're trying to do to exit the category. I had one this morning where they're running a 50% off sale. Instead of being $52.99, they're at like $24.99 or something like that, and it's messing everything up. Okay, so these are things you have to be aware of when you're managing an omni-channel experience for your brand, including e-commerce, whether it's your own website or these other third-party websites like Amazon or Faire. And I'll finish with this on here is there's been a number of people that I approach at various shows and things that I go to, where I'm like, oh, do you want to be, do you want to sell on Amazon? My pitch is a bit better than that, but I'll cut to the chase. And I get the answer, oh, I hate Amazon. I never want my product to be on Amazon. And I tell you, 9 times out of 10, I will search on my phone. I'll turn my phone over and say, did you know you're already there? And they're like, oh my God, that's old packaging. That's old messaging. That's old branding. I'm like, yeah, who is it? Oh, it's a reseller. Because Amazon doesn't care about your brand unless you've registered it and are actively managing it. And so for even people who don't want to sell on Amazon because it's evil or what have you, I tell them you better register your brand on Amazon. That will allow you for $29.99 a month, okay, to have a premium account that allows you to have your brand registered with Amazon. You can now kick off people and defend your turf for your brand on the platform because Amazon's not going to do it for you. All right, enough soapbox in here. So when it comes to profit, okay, there's lots of revenue to be made on Amazon, but profit is one of the challenges we always have to deal with. So it's important. Again, the number of people I ask, what are your product costs? And they don't really know. Okay. If someone can actually give me a number, I'm like, you're in the top 20%. Okay. If you can give me all the numbers, you're in the top 10%, because there's lots of parts of product cost that we have to consider. Duties now being an even, hotter topic these days, right? And so your raw materials, manufacturing costs, packaging costs, shipping costs, and those duties are all things that form part of your product cost set. And we have to know these because typically in the category of selling products on Amazon, we're usually, or even your website, we're usually in a cost plus model. Okay. It cost me $5. I sell it for $7.50. I made my 50 points of margin, blah, 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 blah. Okay. We have to know all these and understand the elasticity and risk of each of these areas, right? I'm working with a coffee brand. Well, guess what's gone up by 200%? The raw material for coffee. And so we have to make sure we understand the impact of that to our overall profit margin, because there's obviously a lot of other things that come into play when you're selling coffee, but the raw material is a big part of it. Chocolate's another one. Chocolate's up like 300%. It's crazy. And so these are things we have to understand. Duties is this big, very complex topic that I always recommend. Let's speak to an expert on how to get your product across the border if you're moving down to the States with it, or if you're going to some other country with your product, or even on the incoming duty side, just to make sure you have the right HS code, that harmonized sales tax code for importation of the products. It's really important that we have that as part of our overall strategy so that we know it's correct and we're not going to get any nasty surprises down the road, or frankly, we're not overpaying. And there's lots of times where people are paying the wrong duty class because they didn't submit the right paperwork. And so speaking to an expert, incredibly important when it comes to duties. Now, I've provided a link to an Amazon revenue calculator. You don't need to have an account on Amazon to use this. And all you're doing is putting in your X, Y, Z size and weight of your product and the MSRP. Amazon's going to charge their typically 15% for your referral fee, and they're going to charge based upon the size and weight of your product to ship it, right? So if I have a standard pill bottle that I'm selling, a pill bottle 30-day supply, it's probably going to ship for under $7, 2 days across the entire country. You have to account for shipping it into Amazon, and normally you're doing small parcel, maybe you're doing pallet of product. You have to account for that shipping into the system. There's some small fees that you look at for warehousing and the like, but they don't get really that heavy until month 6. But it's really important that you know these items, because I've had it before where 1 gram of weight, Amazon rounds up, and it's another $1.50 on your fulfillment fees. And so when I talk to people in their early stages, we're looking at weights and sizes of products so it's more optimized for the experience. And this is any e-commerce thing. So we got to balance size for e-commerce for shipping and face space on shelf in retail. And that balancing is something we need to consider as part of our packaging strategy. So how much can we make? I tell people it's about 40 points of margin before ad spend, 20 points after ad spend. And these are just rough. I've had some that are higher, I've had some that are lower, but kind of if I can spend 20% of my MSRP to acquire a customer and still make 20 points of margin after that experience, I feel really good about the product on the platform, because I can turn dials in different ways, lower my ad spend, increase my profitability. It gives me room for cutting price if I need to for some of the things like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, those types of buying events. Okay. Now, as mentioned, there are some costs to sell on Amazon. $30 for a professional account, which I highly recommend. This allows you to have the brand registry piece, which is so important, especially for the omni-channel experience, because it allows you to protect your brand, kick off resellers, ensure that you have the right kind of cohesive view of your brand across all points of presence. Referral fee, I've provided a link here. It depends on the category. If you're selling clothing, it's 17%. If you're selling, digital products, it's different, but typically 15% is kind of where you're at. And again, that fulfillment fee depends on weights and dimensions for how much it's going to cost you. Inventory storage fee, it's not a problem until it's been there for 6 months. You don't really need to worry too much about it. I always recommend clients ship in a conga line rather than big slugs of inventory. Because when we ship a big slug of inventory in the system, what typically happens is Amazon's then going to redistribute that. In the US, they're charging you for that now. In Canada, they're not yet. And I'm assuming that's going to change in probably the new year, that there will be a cost associated with that. And then advertising is one of those things that really depends on the category. If someone comes to me and says, hey, I want to sell protein powder, I'm like, great, you're going to be spending $3,000 a month to advertise just because it's so competitive. If they say they want to sell candles, it's way different, of course. Okay. And so it's important that you have context of the category in terms of how you're going to advertise in those spaces. Now, how much work is it to sell on Amazon? When you're selling on Amazon, you're using Amazon as a channel. They are not buying from you. You are selling through them. You forecast the sales. You manage the inventory. They are not giving you big purchase orders. That's not how seller works. Vendor is where they're actually buying from you like they would with any other, Whole Foods or Metro or goodness me, any of those channels that are buying from you. That's how vendor works. That's different. Okay. Lots of pros and cons for that. Now, you're going to create those shipments and send them into the system into their preferred fulfillment location. And so when you're looking at costs and how much it's going to cost to get your product across the country, your first shipment, if you're kind of in Southern Ontario, is probably going to go to Brampton because they have 7 fulfillment centers. Okay. It may go to Calgary if they already have information on the category that it sells better in Western Canada, or it may go to Ottawa if it's serving Quebec and Eastern Canada. Okay, they were building a fulfillment center in Dartmouth, I believe. It's not done yet in Halifax or in Nova Scotia, sorry. Track your performance. You need to know how things are going. You need data in order to determine if you're spending money in the right spots and if it's worth your effort. Monitor for existing and new competitors in the space. As I mentioned, Beck's Broth, we're doing a lot of good work with them with Boundless, and there's lots of new competitors coming into the space because they're having success, right? Success breeds competition, which is not a bad thing, of course, but you have to know about it and keep an eye on it, right? And then managing those product detail pages because sometimes listings get taken down. Sometimes we have resellers that pop up out of nowhere, and we have to kind of go take that out. We have to chase every nickel that Amazon holds. There's lots of times where they're like, oh, your product is this big, and Amazon says, no, it's this big. Like, nope, can't be. Or you shipped a box of 12, and they say, we only received 10. Like, really? I know a box of 12 went out because I packed the darn thing, right? So there's a whole bunch of process you have to go through to make sure that you are getting every penny back that you are deserved. And then monitoring product pages for issues that may occur. There's lots right now. AI bots are going wild within Amazon and all these platforms that are looking for any way that it may be non-compliant with regulations. And so we have right now a protein powder that's getting labeled as a natural product because we don't know why. Right. And so we're digging into, and it's because I think some of the branding or whatever, the words are fine, but we have to then go through cases and make sure we're getting that removed, that issue. And so with AI being imperfect, it's driving a lot of extra rework on these platforms. That's going to be going on for the foreseeable future, in my opinion, as things learn. Maybe it'll only be 6 months and or a year, but I think it's going to be an ongoing problem as these are complex issues. Now, both these methods are valid. I included this in here because I get a lot of questions about Amazon vendor. Selling on Amazon does not mean Amazon is buying your product. If you look on the side where the price is, you'll see ships from Amazon, sold by Amazon. That's a vendor product. That means they bought product at wholesale and shipped it through. If you see a product for $5.50, 99.9% of the time, that's an Amazon vendor product because they have a very different economic equation. Most seller products are going to start at least $15, if not more, because we have to account for the seller fees, the shipping fees, etc. Okay. There are definitely pros and cons, and that you can also do both. So, a lot of grocery clients that I work with, they want to be able to sell to Amazon themselves. There's a whole process that we have to go through to see, like you have to get invited, just like any sales relationship. You have to be invited to them. As a seller, you don't have to be invited. You just have to manage it yourself, and that's where folks like me potentially come through for you. Okay. So, initial investments needed. To say brand registry, you need that trademark, $1,000, $1,500. You should have this anyway. Okay. Registering on Amazon, it's going to cost about $500 just for the effort required to register your business on Amazon. Of course, you could do it yourself. You can also do a trademark yourself, right? It depends on hiring a legal firm to do this or hiring someone to help you get your product, get your brand set up on Amazon. To get that, you're going to need your articles of incorporation, ID for a director, and a credit card or bank statement and the name of the company. And some of these sound pretty obvious, right? I've met plenty of clients where they're like, oh, I just use my personal credit card, right? And so you need a business credit card, bank statements, et cetera, to prove that everything's kind of tied together into a nice bundle, okay? Creating listings on the platform. To do it correctly, you need about $800 is what that costs. That has all the images on the left-hand side, the great copywriting, all the SEO required, all the keywords that are needed. And then when you're looking at the A+ content and the storefront details that I showed you previously that was done with Bex, you're looking around $2,000 for that kind of work. And all of that can be repurposed and reutilized everywhere else. All the creative information that you have can be repurposed through Amazon and vice versa. Now, launching, you have to invest in these channels. So it's so important when I'm chatting with people who are interested in doing Amazon as part of their omni-channel experience. What ends up happening is I go, well, how many followers do you have on Instagram? Right. And like I have a couple thousand followers. Fantastic. Because if you have a couple thousand followers, if I can get 10% of those people to come to Amazon and buy a product, even if I give them a 20% discount code to get the system primed up and moving, that'll help us index for all the keywords. That'll help us get some reviews on those products because those people already know and love our brand. And that'll make us look a lot better to new people who want to come in and experience our brand. Because very few people buy a product that has 0 reviews, right? Unless they've already bought you somewhere else, they know you already. So notifying your followers, yes, you will make less money selling through Amazon than you win through Shopify. But it's a long-term viewpoint that we need to have when it comes to our overall go-to-market experience and supporting all elements of the channel. Whatever I do on Amazon is going to help my Shopify sales, is going to help my brick and mortar sales, because Amazon is a key source of trust for customers. So what's next? We definitely want to look at how do we differentiate our offer from the other competition. A great way to do this is to look at Amazon, look at the reviews that are on those products, both the positive and the negative. You can sort for that. Okay. You can go on to another granola product and go, what do people love? What do people hate? And that's important for our own positioning so that we can solve a problem a bit differently, improve on those existing solutions, and differentiate ourselves. Now, pitch for what we do, optimizing listing titles, bullets, descriptions, the enhanced brand content, all of that, highly recommend working with a professional on that because it is something that has a lot of specialized tools required to do it correctly. Okay. You can absolutely do it yourself, no doubt about it. There's lots of scrappy entrepreneurs who will. My recommendation is hire someone who's able to handle this channel for you as a sales channel so you can look at above the line brand building to drive sales across all channels. Get your trademark, build your website, and establish your following on social. Okay. As much as I don't like it, it is what it is. You have to have followers on social. And I'm not just talking random bots, I'm talking real people. And so if you're at a show, if you're at a conference, get people to follow your brand. Be interesting, get some influencers, hire some influencers. There's a lot of them who are just starting out still and trying to do it for free product, right? And so you may send out 10 samples and only one piece of content is usable. That's great. A 10% conversion rate, I'm fantastic. That's fantastic for me. So don't be afraid to use some samples to get some people to follow your brand, to get some doing content, and then maybe you find someone who could be lightning in a bottle and go a bit viral for you. And then investing in marketing and promotion for your product, both on and off the platform. Okay. Amazon is just one platform. We have to look at how do we spread our dollars across all the different platforms that we're part of, whether it's my brick and mortar, where I may have to do a flyer, I may have to do a displayer, I may have to do a sampling program in those locations. My own website where I'm driving some traffic to it to tell my story, to be able to retarget those people who are coming in through that Shopify funnel, or to Amazon where they're going to purchase and really driving that experience so it's all the same across those points of placement because that consistency is going to allow your product to sell a lot faster, reduce friction, and build trust. So with that, that's Omnichannel. If you have any questions, happy to hear them. I'm not sure, Alex, if you want to talk first about your corporate sponsors who are so kind to help for this.
No, nothing for me really. Just thanks to our corporate sponsors, of course, as always. But yeah, I'll open the floor to everyone who's on the call today. If you have any questions for Don at all, I know he'd be more than happy to answer. And if there's anything you want to connect with after the session, you can always send me an email. I can connect you with Don. I also put Beacon Commerce social media platforms in the chat, so you can go through that way as well. And yeah, does anyone have any questions today? Carol, I see your hand waving.
I got to get this in quick. Can you say a little bit more, Don, about MAP?
Mhm.
I didn't really completely understand that.
Yep, for sure. So map. So one of the things we have to make sure we have is a consistent price across all channels. And it's incredibly important that we manage that because Amazon is a platform where customers always want lower prices. And so Amazon is not defending your price. And so if somebody bought a box of 12, they got it for, say, $22. They do the math and like, okay, I can sell for $28.79, but it's like the brand is at $29.99. They're at $28.79. What happens is someone else buys a box of 12. They put up there and say, oh, 28.79. Well, 28.78, 28.75, 28.50. And all of a sudden it's a race to the bottom. And what it does is it waters down the brand, the experience you're trying to create, and also builds distrust when somebody's at a store scanning it to see if they should buy it right there and then, or if they should just buy it on Amazon. So that's the map thing. And so having a map policy that says people who are going to resell your product must adhere to this policy of map that says this is the minimum pricing that we're allowing people to sell for. And those are all things that we can do as part of our pricing strategy. Right. So Carol, did that like, and I'm happy to chat afterwards just to dive in further, of course.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Roger,
Roger.
piece of cake has hand up. So I'll go with the man with the hand up.
Okay, I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this in short order or not, but
I'll try.
we're an agency. We're representing here one of our customers. It's an online pharmacy, so you probably qualify them as a reseller. They're not producing a product; they're just buying in product and reselling it. They do have their own online pharmacy, but they're also on Amazon.
Yeah.
I guess one of the issues they're hitting is trying to level the playing field between what they're doing on Amazon and what they're doing off Amazon. And so right now it's like 7% is off Amazon, and they need to bring that up to like 20% to sort of justify the existence of that. And there's so many restrictions around pharmaceuticals on Amazon. I mean, they are legit script certified, so they're qualified there, and anyway, I don't need to get into the mess that they have to juggle on a daily basis with Amazon and things getting unlisted and relisted and unlisted. But do you have any sage advice as to what they can do to start to balance out that difference? And we know it'll never be the same. It's just Amazon is exponentially bigger and better reach.
Yeah, for sure. So what we look at, I think, is whenever I have a reseller who's going to sell that product, there's a few things because with me as the brand owner, let's say again, I'm the brand owner for this spray. If I have authorized resellers, I can actually give them brand tools so that they can be more of a partner with me as part of my overall experience. And that's something I recommend when we have trusted resellers. It's the resellers who only buy 12 and kind of drop price and kind of kill the overall market that I'm always concerned about. But partnership is something we should look at. When it comes to the category of goods, the supplement space is the hardest space. It's one of the ones we specialize in because it's so hard and because it gets taken down frequently. And so what we should probably do is like we can book a separate little discussion just to chat about the specifics of what is happening, the types of products, and we can see if there's a strategy that it fits into their overall omni-channel, what they're doing, and kind of go from there. But I'm like the devil, I'm sure, is in the details for what's happening with them.
Okay, we'll set that up.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Sue, you're on mute. Under mute. How you doing? You're good.
Hi, I'm well.
Hi.
Thank you. It's good to see you again, Don. You know my products well. They're large, bulky, expensive. Do you see a role for Amazon selling my type of product? They're for everybody else, hay feeders for horses. They're big and sell for about $1,000.
Yeah, big and bulky. So big and bulky on Amazon as a fulfilled by Amazon is a really tough category because the fees, just aren't the same when it comes to their shipping and their efficiency of those than you can get with other shipping and efficiencies that you would have with regular carriers. That doesn't mean not having it listed on Amazon isn't a good thing, because you can do fulfilled by merchant, and we just have to account for the 15% referral fee they're going to take. So of the $1,000 product, they take 15 points. And so making sure the economics look good. But there's been some clients where we've actually set it up on Amazon as fulfilled by merchant, expecting to sell exactly zero, but it's a business card. And we drive some reviews through there. We get some of our customers to come and buy from there that then give us a great review because they know and love the product. Okay. But that's kind of how we look at Amazon in these cases as a marketing channel rather than a sales revenue channel. And that's a different experience and something I've been doing more of because, I'm seeing the economics of sometimes selling even these products can be very difficult to make money on. And on the $1,000, $1,500 type products that you sell, Sue, we should look at it as a marketing channel. And we could talk about that at any point.
Thanks.
Okay, awesome. Good seeing you again. Other questions? So I couldn't have nailed it that good, but if I did or you're hungry, that's totally fine.
We have a question, Don.
Oh, sorry, where?
Savannah, did you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I just put it in the chat, but happy to
Oh,
talk.
you did. Sorry. Yeah.
No, not at all, Don. That's great. So I just had a question about the fees per product on Amazon. So I have developed first aid kits, and so we have 3 different sizes. So would that be one category that you're paying to set up, or per each item?
Yeah. So what that's called is a parent-child. So you would, from a cost perspective, I'll just go to that portion here. So it is one product. And so if you ever see a product that has multiple SKUs to it, like they're called 3 children. It's like red t-shirt, blue t-shirt, green t-shirt. Okay. Those are all the same t-shirt. So it's $800 for the total.
Okay.
If you have, I have one client where they sell a bra product, and it's like, okay, 3 colors, 12 sizes. It gets a bit different, but if it's a first aid kit, then it'd normally be kind of fall under that $800 piece.
Okay.
The one thing you have to be careful with first aid kits is if there's sharp products in there, or if there's alcohol wipes in there, there's just different regulations and things that you have to be mindful of. And like we could go through and talk about that, of course.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Yeah, it's every one of these categories. I wish I had people who sold pens and pencils because it'd be so much easier. But when we're dealing with anything that has certainly supplements with claims management or any safety management stuff, when you have sharp or alcohol wipes and things, it gets a bit more dicey, right? And so Roger just asked for contact info. In the presentation, there's a QR code, but you can email me at Don, D-O-N, at beaconcommerce.co, right? Or Alex has my contacts, and I work with Boundless quite often, and we can always figure something out to kind of take a look, see at what's going on, and see how we make the channel work for you. Okay. And other than that, I have a whole bunch of AI note takers telling me that they're taking notes. So in the chat, are there any other questions? Thoughts, comments?
Okay, well, I guess we'll leave it there. Savannah, did you have another question? I didn't know.
No, that's perfect. Thank you
Okay.
all so much.
Perfect. It looked like you were off mute, but I think it's just the way my camera or my screen angle was. So thank you everyone so much for attending the session today. I just put a quick feedback form in the chat. If anyone could take the time to fill that out, that would be greatly appreciated. It helps our speakers and it helps us continue to develop events here at Boundless Accelerator. I did put Don's contact in the chat there.
Thanks.
If you guys want to reach out to him, and then if there's any further development that needs to be done, we can all connect and see what will work out for everybody. But I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day today, and you get 20 minutes back.
Boom.
Thanks, Don. That was great.
Awesome. Have a good
Thank
one,
you,
folks. We'll
everyone.
see you soon, eh? Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.